So I've been thinking about why there are viral memes. And one thing that puzzles me is how they ever get started in the first place. Where do people get these things, about how people making everything about a mustache or keep calm and whatever on, and all these things. It's really strange to me, but why do these things exist in the first place? One issue is the simplicity of the meme. For instance, I was on an atheist Facebook page the other day, and they had one of these little memes, one of these little pseudo-motivational poster type things that literally had 2-word or 3-word statements followed by a citation from the Bible. So something as elucidating as beat your slave, and then a citation, right? Stone children, and a citation. And there were maybe 5 or 6 statements like this with a citation, and that was supposed to mean something. And of course, all the atheists are like, yeah, that's right. And reposting and sharing and stuff. And I thought, well, I could actually go down the line and explain every single one of these points and how they are obviously being misrepresented in terms that are much, much, much less than the word count of your average tweet. All right, so that's how many people communicate deep theological issues, is in 2-3 words, 1 sentence, a paragraph at most. Wow, that would be something, a whole paragraph. So I thought, it would take me quite a few pages of writing to explain these things. And then I know what their response would be. The person would look at the little meme. They could read it in, 10 seconds. Then they would look at, oh my, the explanation's more than a paragraph long. I'm not even going to bother reading it. I know. I'll just say, hey, you're just rationalizing it. And then they're done with it. So that's why these little memes are so successful. Not because they're accurate, but because they're literally nano-sized. They play to the attention span and the interest du jour, which is essentially nothing. But then you think about how do certain stories become the story of the day, the news of the day, here's the key, drama of the day. Well, part of it, I think, is definitely a push from the politics, a push from the media, a push from culture, like the whole Bruce Jenner thing. Okay, you can't tell me that that's actually nationally or internationally significant enough to get as much coverage as it does. But there's an agenda behind it all, and that's why it gets so popularized. Well, part of the thing I've been thinking about recently is that many people, whether they know it or not, or realize it or not, or admit it or not, are essentially nihilists. Okay, and nihil means nothing. And that's the main life philosophy of theirs, is that ultimately life has no meaning. And so, what do you do if you, in one way or another, think that life has no ultimate meaning? Well, you have to fill your life with micro meanings, right? There's no macro meaning, there's just micro meanings. So every day, you know that you can get online, as most people do for the majority of the day, and latch on to this or that, this meme, that viral news story, this thing for the day, political, societal, whatever it is, the latest celebrity news, the latest political news. It doesn't matter what it is, but it gives you something to latch onto for that day. And by golly, I'm going to comment, and I'm going to respond, and I'm going to read this, and post that, and share this, and like that. See, it gives you a sense of purpose for the day. And that's why these things become memes and viral, because it affords this facade, this charade, this veneer of purpose. Got something going on for today. I got my little drama for today. That's right, by golly. I'm going to talk about it around the water cooler. I'm going to get online, and oh boy, everyone's going to know what I think. So it essentially keeps you busy. It's like a psychological, emotional, and spiritual band-aid to give you the ability to pretend that you're doing something, and maybe something important. And you might be, actually. It's not like all of this is poppycock. But the point is, it gives you the illusion of having something, some meaning in your life, when ultimately you might believe that it doesn't have any meaning. And to give you an example of this whole nihilistic thing, let me talk about the show Seinfeld. Because the show Seinfeld was famously known as being a show about nothing. Well, I told my friend that that show was deeply philosophical. And he said, well, that's strange to hear you say that, because Seinfeld made specific statements to the fact that they purposely did not write any morals into the show. And I thought, that strengthens my point even more. Now, why is that? Well, because the purpose of the show was just to follow the everyday lives of the main characters. And the issue is that if you were to set out to write a book or a script or a song even, whatever it is, you would put something of your own true worldview into it, even if you're writing fiction. I mean, granted, of course you would. Now, but what if you purposefully set out to not put any worldview, any philosophy, any morals into it? Then you would still be doing it, because you would essentially be taking on a nihilistic point of view at that point, to purposefully set out to put forth nothing, you see? And so this was the sort of hidden in plain sight point about Seinfeld. They were telling you right there, it's a show about nihil, a show about nihilism, because Seinfeld was no more or less about nothing than any other show, particularly a sitcom. And so when you watch it, you know, one thing I realized is, well, the people in the show have no overarching worldview that would lead them to believe that they're nothing but animated human sausages, right? They're just animated matter. In other words, they have no purpose in their life, no meaning, that is. And so what they would do is just have sex with as many people as they possibly could and get themselves involved in every possible little thing that they could for the day. In fact, there was an episode where Elaine says to Jerry, I can't keep coming in here poring over the excruciating minutiae of every single daily event. And there was another episode where she has a boyfriend, and she's so happy to tell Jerry that her and her boyfriend agreed to never have children. And Jerry says, a sterile existence that ends when you die. All right, so these things clue you in on what was going on there. They literally see no purpose in life. They have no meaning for their lives. So they, by necessity, just to sort of keep them going, they create and involve themselves in little dramas every single day. Little drama. Every little thing has to be blown up out of proportion, so it provides some sort of satisfaction for the day. So I got something accomplished today, by golly. You know, even if it was creating a whole big drama about essentially a non-issue. And so that's what's going on, is that's why you see people walking around. You notice that no one sells cell phone cases anymore. I mean, not the protective case, but you know, the little clip-ons. People used to clip their phones onto their belts because they only used them once in a while. No one sells those anymore, essentially, because people literally hold their cell phones in their hands till their hands are going to become like a claw. You know, literally, they're going to get arthritis by the time they're 12 because they're holding on to this little thing that gives them some sort of meaning for the minute. you know, for the day, for the hour, whatever it is. And you notice the Pavlovian response to these devices, right? If the little device makes a sound, you could have a perfectly pleasant conversation with another human being face to face, but by golly, if that device makes a single sound, they'll stick their finger in your face because you are now irrelevant, and they got to get on their little device and check because somebody might have texted or called or commented or replied or shared or forwarded or whatever, and this is the true purpose, this is my true meaning, to have something going on out there. And it's totally Pavlovian. In fact, I made a graphic once pretending I had started a company called the Pavlov Cell Phone Company, right? PCP, Pavlov Cell Phone Company. And that's exactly what it is. The little device makes a sound and you react, just like Pavlov's dogs did in drooling whenever he rung a bell. So this whole meme and viral thing, I think at its roots is that it affords some level, however fictionally constructed, I mean, however unreal it is at bottom, it affords some kind of semblance of momentary meaning for life. And yeah, I mean, that increment of time is getting smaller and smaller, by the way. That's why people get involved themselves, get involved in so many issues on so many sites and so many comments and this and that. It's because people get to the point where they need some motive, some interaction in that sense, some stimulation, literally by the second, if not the minute, and they might be satisfied with 1 hour. But you try to take a cell phone away from one of these people with a claw for a hand, and you'll see, I mean, they'll get withdrawals, like if you're trying to take them off of a hardcore opiate or something. It's really incredible to see what's going on. But anyhow, that's been my rambling Gedanken experiment about this whole meme and viral situation.